Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Today we are here this morning to cover why Liverpool have spent 40 million euros on Victor Munoz of Osasuna. Now, this is a player and this is a story that come out breaking last night after the England game. And we was there obviously watching the England game, doing a bit of research for a video we're also going to do. And then this come out of absolute nowhere. And apparently there's a hijack deal in terms of taking it off Newcastle's plate. And we're going to give you everything about Victor Munoz that we've watched. In possession, out of possession, tactical fit for Liverpool. Why have they signed him? Is he really that good? Could he be one of two? Is he the winger? And all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, please do not forget, if you do enjoy the pieces, to subscribe to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Obviously, this summer is going to be one of the busiest we've ever had here at the Overlap. So, please, if you do enjoy the pieces, don't forget to subscribe. And on the last video, someone has actually asked me to formally introduce myself, and I genuinely have never thought about doing it because I've been doing this now for like 2 years and it's never once crossed my mind. I've just been going at it each week. So I'm Harrison of the Overlap Breakdown. I'm the host analyst here. I'm the presenter of the breakdown, obviously, which is why I'm here. I'm a tactical analyst. I've worked in the game. So yeah, that's me. That's my background, and hopefully you can respect my opinion enough to give you a really good detailed breakdown on Victor Munoz and why Liverpool have spent 40 million euros on him. So I want to start straight away by talking about general profile, physical profile. Initially, when you look at him, you think he's 5'8", you think he's quite small, and traditionally you would usually associate him with a Spanish winger, a technical winger, someone who's, comes inside, very swift. He's not that player. He's not that type of player. He is, me and the producer were talking before, he's a little bit like a pit bull. He's very hunched over. He's got massive traps. He's got a huge chest in terms of his physical posture, in terms of when he runs with the ball. There's a lot of detail we're going to go into about his running, his 1v1 capabilities, his kick and run, which for me is a huge thing in the game, being able to take your 1v1s. His first couple of steps out of the dribble are electric, and I'll show you really good examples against Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid in the 3 games that I watched. He has got unbelievable physical and technical quality on the run. Riding contact, handling dribbles. I've actually got a little bit of a thing to say about him where, if you look at why Newcastle wanted him, traditionally, I do think he's a left winger. I know he can play both sides, and that is mostly because of that kick and run like stuff. I've got his open play touch map on your screen right now, and you can see 7% on the right-hand side, 14%, 10%-ish on the left-hand side. Different versatility. I've also got his chance-creating carries, and you can see the variety in the chance-creating. So on the right, we're looking more straight-lined. As you can see on the right-hand side, we've got a lot of the half-space ones being really straight up that half-space of the pitch, whereas the left, it's more diagonal facing inwards to the box, like that going inside. So whilst on the right, he's hitting the line like that. On the left, he's more of like come inside. But in deeper phases of possession, he can take the ball back to goal, spin, and this is where his unique selling point is. This is why I believe Liverpool have bought him for Iraola's system, and that's to his first couple of touches to go bang, turn his body, like shift his body to face the play, and then knock it like that. That is when I watched him, I was like, right, that's incredible. That's a standout attribute. And as we were mentioning, obviously the hijack deal has come against Newcastle. If you think about Anthony Gordon, a little bit different of a physical profile, but they're very, very similar. A bit of a mix of like Anthony Gordon, Ben Doak and Dan James. They're like the 3 players that I was watching. And obviously Liverpool fans will be very familiar with Ben Doak. Unironically, Bournemouth signed him for Iraola. So yeah, really interesting profile. A really aggressive one. A really tenacious one, someone who's relentless in 1v1s. I've got a lot of data on your screen right now to talk about the standout qualities on the dribble, so I'll throw them up on your screen right now. So from last year in La Liga, so the season just gone, only Lamine Yamal and Vinicius Jr. have actually attempted more dribbles than him, and only Yamal, Vinny Jr. and Mbappe have actually completed more dribbles than him in the season just gone too. And if we're talking about standout games, he actually had the most dribbles completed in one single game across Europe's top 5 leagues last season, which was against Rayo Vallecano with 12 dribbles completed. And if I want to talk about that relentlessness, he also obviously had the most attempted dribbles against Rayo Vallecano in La Liga last season. He had 21 dribbles attempted in that game where he completed 12. So definitely not an efficient player. I wouldn't class him as a Yandy Amandi type player who on the 1v1 you favour him like 75% of the time, but that's a freakish tier 1 dribbler. He is a lot more of a give it a lot of chances and he will get something out of that. So I really want to show you what this looks like in practice. So right now on your screen, I've got an example that I noticed against Real Madrid. And this is where, for me, this is why I think Liverpool have signed him, this entire clip. So I was looking at all the big teams that they've played in La Liga. These are the teams that he's going to be coming up against. So I'm looking at Real Madrid, Trent, Carvajal, Valverde, Barcelona, it was Balde, Marcos Llorente, Atletico Madrid. These are very, very good players. So as you can see here, on minute 49, the position Victor Munoz receives the ball in, he's trapped on the line. Dani Carvajal's got his distance, is really nice, it's less than a metre. He taps it with the outside of his left foot and then shifts his body to almost shield the ball and to ride the contact. Dani Carvajal then latches onto his back, and Victor Munoz, he's only 22 years old, and I know Dani Carvajal's maybe not the player of old, but still a very decent fullback. He gets completely bodied in this instance. He rotates his body, he knocks it into space. I mean, look how many Madrid players are around him in this situation. He's on the line, he's got nowhere to go, the angle's really tight. Nice bit of trickery to get inside. He then carries diagonally right through the pitch, cutting right through the pitch. And as you can see this picture now, this is a very, very dangerous position, and it ends up being a foul one. I think it's actually Arda Güler who ends up bringing him down to stop him from running in. So straight away when I was watching him, the number one thing that I thought he was unbelievable with was when the team are in deeper, settled possession and we're looking to get an escape route and we're not looking for the central progression, sometimes it doesn't have to go through the midfielders. When the ball is fired into him, this first bit of contact is really strong, but then the couple of touches after are so fast, like he's lightning fast. Things happen very fast when he's on the ball. His first two touches are brilliant. One to set it and to turn his body to face the play or to look where the space is. And the second one is the knock. And the knock is his first touch into space. Kylian Mbappe's got that trademark, knock into space with the outside of his foot where he can set up the angles. He does that on the dribble. And for me, looking at Iraola, looking at what he's going to do at Liverpool needs someone who can get them territory and depth. And what I mean by that is in this situation where you can imagine Liverpool are in the build-up of the 4-3-3. And sometimes Liverpool don't want to go through the pitch like this. They don't have to want to do that. So sometimes it can go long. Sometimes it can get shoved out to the side. And you get a lot of these straight-lined passes. If you think of Cody Gakpo, even Mohamed Salah, Rio Engamo is a different player. So him and Engamo will balance a lot of minutes. But this pass is so common. And when you've got a player like Cody Gakpo, he can't really work in them situations. He's not someone who you've got to imagine rotating out of there or shifting the ball within 3 touches and getting you up the pitch. This guy, Victor Munoz, can carry a team up the pitch and they can get territory. The good thing about him as well is that he doesn't overcook the dribbles. He can do the dribbles, get the territory, and a lot of times you see with younger players, I think of Garnacho when I think of this, they've got that idea that everything has to go attacking fast first, in behind, direct, depth. But he can actually take the dribbles, get his team up the pitch in these examples against Madrid, and then lay it off and just get back into position. So, again, another example I've got for you on your screen, which is talking about sort of the outside knock that he has. So again, this is an example against Real Betis. This is an example you're going to see a lot for Liverpool. You can see that settled possession. It's not deep in the final third. It's more in Osasuna's build-up. And we can see here the players worked out. And what have we got again? He's trapped on the line. His body's facing inside, so he's a bit more like that. But there's not really much room to work with. But again, what does he do? Receives it on his left foot and then the touch to set the ball with his left and then to knock it into space with his right. Again, knocks it past the Real Betis fullback and he goes on a mad dart down the wing. Cooks it all the way into the final third. He ends up getting brought down and Osasuna get a free kick from this example. So for me, when I look at him, I think what they've lost in Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez even is the depth in behind, is the territory, is the ball carrying, is just a little bit more. It doesn't have to look that clean all of the time in the dribbles. It just has to work. It just has to be efficient in terms of getting the ball from A to B, getting your territory. Because a lot of times, Liverpool have been very rigid in terms of playing round the back and, being slow and just being in a settled possession. If I show you that screenshot again from that example against Real Betis, maybe the line's a little bit higher for Betis here, but I saw this with Liverpool a lot last season where They're stood on the ball, and there's not really any central progression. There's not any wide progression. The fullbacks are not really making these darting runs. And obviously, if you can partner this type of player with a Milos Kerkez at full fitness and, firing, then there's a good little balance there in terms of breaking down the outsides and attacking with width and depth. And Iraola will look to use the directness of this team and directness on the ball when it comes to dribbling, carrying, but also the early passes, the give and goes. And this lad takes very few touches to work in that vein. So, yeah, I've got another example here, and this is just an example now talking about when he gets into the final third, and Trent Alexander-Arnold come on the pitch against Osasuna in their 2-1 win over Real Madrid. And we can see here this is more of an advanced position, more of a position where you're going to see a lot for Liverpool when they have to box teams in. And I've got a close-up, and we can see from the close-up right here, he's looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold's body position. He's very closed off to one side. Now, the good thing about Victor Munoz is when he can knock it down the left-hand side and he can run after balls and go deep, on the left, he is right-footed. So the times he comes inside with that pace, with that twitchiness, with them first couple of touches, he can attack very directly. And again, he goes against Trent Alexander-Arnold's momentum in this situation. So if Trent's like this and he's looking to shield him, so he's like closing his body off like that, and he attacks diagonally with the ball and he sees Trent almost going like that, he has that jinkiness, that twitchiness and that first step to just go bang inside. And that is very, 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 very good in the modern day. I think for me, he's not going to be a player who's going to get you loads of goals and assists. And as a winger, I do understand a lot of people will be concerned about that. He has scored a couple headers. He scored a lot of goals playing number 9 for Real Madrid Castilla, which is their reserve team. He makes a lot of good runs in behind when he's placed at number 9. But his physical development over the last couple of years have tended him more to a broader build with a really big chest, really big traps, hunched over the ball, running straight at players and getting depth and running with the ball, carrying the ball. And I think for me, that is where he will be used as. He will be used as sort of a territorial gainer in terms of running with the ball to get Liverpool up the pitch. So, yeah, I do actually quite like him. I'm not going to lie. I do actually quite like him. And there's also the talk about his being versatile. I'm going to say this now. I don't think, for me, this will be one of 2 winger signings for Liverpool. There will be another winger to come, whether or not it's Yandy Amandi, Bradley Barcola. There will be another winger. There has to be to replace a player like Salah. But a lot of people have been talking about the versatility. So I've got an example here where he actually moved over to the right against Real Madrid, and this comes against David Alaba. But he can still do the same thing on the right with the straight dribbles. It happens a lot more straight, like literally down the line, but it still works. I mean, I'll show you the example now. We can see that when the ball is played into him, David Alaba's gone really close up behind him. He's on his back. He takes the ball, rotates out again, so that first step to take the ball and shift it and look forward. And the second touch, again, the knock. The knock is so good. It's so fast. It's so sharp. Breezes past David Alaba, crashes into the Real Madrid box. Really nice weight of pass to slip it through to a runner coming on the inside. And it's a good chance for Osasuna to win the game. So, yeah, for me, I really do like him. I think he's really tenacious. I think he's a player that a lot of people will watch and go like, I think he's a fan pleaser. He's sort of a stadium pleaser. So, yeah, really, really good, really, really exciting player. One that I'm quite interested to see how he gets on in the Premier League. A little bit more of a pit bull, very scrappy. And I think Liverpool have always needed that. I think they've gone back to more, out of possession, bit of grit, bit of aggression, a little bit more to tender towards an Iraola style. It's a very Iraola signing, I will say that. It's not a player that they've probably had on the shortlist for multiple years, and they've tracked a long way. And yeah, I'll just show you this example. He actually got an assist against Serbia. And I want to show you this example because I think it's really interesting. So this is now coming off the right-hand side for Spain. He actually got a goal in this game. He's got 1 goal already for Spain. And he is currently at the World Cup. So I don't want people to underestimate his quality because he's only got 6 goals, 2 assists in the Liga. He's gone to the World Cup with Spain as a winger. That's takes some doing. So on your screen right now, we can see that Serbia are playing around the back, and there's 1 loose pass played, and you can see in the screenshot I've got on your screen right here, his eagerness to jump. He's fresh, he comes out, really, really good bit of pressure, nicks the ball off the centre half, runs through, Really nice weight of pass. So again, he's getting territory with Spain. He's driving them up the pitch. Central carrier. Gets them up the pitch. Really nice outside of the boot pass for Ferran Torres. And it's a good shot at goal. So, yeah, I think this could be a player that could be pretty well liked. I think it could be. I think it could be a player that people tend themselves to in the stadium. I think he'll get you off your seat at times with some of the dribbles. And he's not the finished product. He's not the finished product. But to be honest, I think he tailors himself a lot more to that Iraola style. I think he's got a lot more grit about him, a little bit more just potency in terms of getting at his fullback, being relentless in 1v1s. He just strike me as a player who can have that air of gold. They call it like goldfish memory, where a winger can take a fullback on and then maybe they get tackled 2 times and the head drops and they don't get the ball. And when they get the ball, they just pass it back inside. Doesn't really strike me as that type of player. He strikes me as someone who backs himself in dribbles, very passionate. If you go and watch some of the celebrations for his goals, he's very, very passionate. And yeah, overall, I honestly really like him. And I think it's a niche bit of business, not one that I'd seen coming, not one that I don't think many Liverpool fans would have seen coming. But I think it's a very, very nifty bit of business, bit of kit. And good squad depth, to be fair. So I'm going to show you one more example, and this is just talking about that final third, because when I was watching him, Osasuna aren't a very territorial team. They're not someone who's going to camp in, around the opposition's box. It doesn't really look like that. But in the moments I did see, I've got an example to show you on your screen, but I'll just talk you through what he does sort of facing play. He does like a cross. His crosses have got a lot of loft on them, I will say. A lot of loft where they hang for a long time in the air. There's some really good stuff from him in terms of the crossing aspect of it, in terms of getting in the right positions to cross it. I just don't think he has the right whip on them. But one thing he does have, which I really do like, is the ability to combine with the left back. We mentioned when Iraola signed that these combinations are huge. Overlapping fullbacks and combinations down the outside are the bread and butter of an Iraola team. It's double width, as he calls it, which is a fullback winger taking a fullback of the opposition deep 2v1. So when he does this, one thing I will say is he's got a really nice slip ball down the side like that for a fullback or for an underlapping runner. He's got really nice sort of instep ball down this outside here. Really good pace on it, really good timing. He gets the distances really right, he gets the distances well quite a lot throughout games. So I'll throw it up on your screen where he receives the cutback, off the underlapper that he plays the ball through to. And I think 1v1, there's a lot to be curious about, because we've not really seen him attack fullbacks 1v1 deep, but he hits the line very well. He's a right-footed player playing on the left-hand side, but he hits the line really well. As we were talking about here with his kick and runs down here, he also likes to do that wide like this. And he is a player who will attack depth. Engamoa looks to go directly sometimes to these areas, cutting inside. He has a couple shots from outside the box a lot. His shooting is needs a bit of work for me. I don't think he's got the cleanest ball striking in terms of getting a massive welly on stuff. He favours more curved finishes. But he has played number 9. Just before we wrap this up, he has played number 9 quite a lot in his youth career. I was going back and I always like to watch young players when they're coming through, development for physical stuff especially. He played number 9 for Real Madrid Castilla when he was young, and he scores quite a lot of goals in terms of making diagonal runs between centre halves, in terms of pulling into the channels, spinning out to the channels. So he definitely has an air of goal scoring about him. I'm just not really sure where I see that come in a Liverpool team, especially if he's going to play out wide, and he's definitely not going to play up front with the stat who are there. But a really niche bit of business, and in the market, I think 40 million euros is being reported. I think it's 35 plus 5 million add-ons. I think that's like 32, maybe 34 million pounds. So in the modern day, it's a pretty standard fee for a young player, a pretty standard fee for a player who's going to add depth. And I think he adds and lifts that physical floor a lot. And I don't have access to the running data for the La Liga games, but I can imagine it will be very good. I can imagine his straight line speed is huge. His distance covered will be very good. He's a very honest worker. He comes back and defends a lot. I can throw a little graphic up on your screen for his defensive actions, actually, whilst I'm talking about it, just before we wrap up. And you can see the amount of defensive actions he's actually got in his own penalty box, around the sides of his own penalty box. This is going to be an honest worker. So, yeah, I really like him. This stuff is really good. Honestly, he's kick and run down the outside just to get to the line like that and attack these deeper areas on the sides of the box, cutbacks. I think that'll work really well with Kirkez. So yeah, really nifty player. One that I'm like quite excited to see, because honestly, like, anything could happen with him. Anything could happen. We don't know the true level. Obviously, he's going to step up to the Premier League. He's going to be judged on goals. But I think it's a nifty bit of business. I'm not going to lie. I think it's pretty decent. I think it's a player, if United needed 2 left wingers and we signed him as the first of the 2, I would be like, yeah, I can see it. I can see what the need is, what the want is. The physical output's really high. Territory, grit, aggression, out of possession's really good. Proven himself in La Liga already against really good teams like Real Madrid, Barca, Atletico. Has been called up to Spain. Has already scored for Spain. So yeah, really good bit of business for me. I think he's one that will be a fun player to watch. So yeah, wishing the best, to be fair, at Liverpool. And yeah, first signing of the summer transfer window is done. And whilst the World Cup's going on, yeah, we'll be covering everything over on the Breakdown channel here. So if you did enjoy, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And we'll see you next week for some more analysis. Thank you.
This has been a Global and The Overlap production.